When talking about asexuality and its representation, it seems to be a common misconception that being ace is a recent phenomenon. There are certain parts of asexual culture that are relatively recent, but not being ace in and of itself. I'll get into that soon enough, but let's dive into asexual origins. Asexuality has been noticed and at least understood in some form since the mid-1800s. It was first labeled as being monosexual, meaning those who only masturbate. This first mention of the term monosexual is also the first appearance of the term homosexuality. These mentions of sexuality were in reference to an anti-sodomy law in Germany. This 1969 pamphlet was created anonymously by Hungarian doctor Karl Maria Kantbeny. Please forgive my German name pronunciations in this video. There's going to be a few of them. Then in 1896, German sexologist Magnus Hirschfeld, who also wrote a lot of homosexuality in transgender individuals, wrote of being anesthesia sexual. This generally refers to those without sexual attraction towards men or women or anyone else. It is said that these are people without any sexual desire. In further writings by Hirschfeld in 1910, he mentions those who are sex repulsed, even by their own sex drive. Hirschfeld also goes into detail about someone who is only interested in their own body, which today we might call autosexual, as well as in-depth about asexuals with low or no sex drive. Then in 1907 is one of, if not the first uses of the word asexuality by Reverend Carl Schlegel in advocating for the same laws, whether homosexual, heterosexual, bisexual, or asexual. This was after being charged for homosexualism, sodomy, or uranism. So I suppose you could say we've been fighting for the same rights as queer folks since then. 1922 is when, within the article The Female Impersonators, Jenny June, an American author on sexual and gender nonconformity, proposed there are actual well-known people that are referred to as ace. However, this writing does also insist that asexuality is caused by illness, which is as incorrect as insisting that about any other sexuality. I'm not going to get into real people who are inferred to be or came out as asexual in this video. That might be a video all of its own, but not today. The late 1940s and early 1950s is when the Kinsey scale is created. First, the X marker is specifically for men who report no sexual contact or arousal. Only in 1953 does the Kinsey scale change to include women. Apparently 1.5% of men fell into the X category, but 19% of women were X's. Now for a mention that I've always found interesting. Anton Zander LaVey mentions asexuality in the Satanic Bible. The book states that Satanism condones any type of sexual activity which properly satisfies your individual desires, be it heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, or even asexual. I find this interesting because, to my knowledge, it is one of the only, if the only, mention of asexuality within a religious book of any kind, at least that I have come across, which I think is kind of neat. In 1972, the Asexual Manifesto was penned by Lisa Orlando. Lisa describes asexuality as relating sexually to no one. The manifesto also talks about amatonormativity and compulsory heterosexuality. The Kinsey scale was slightly retooled in 1979 as bisexuality and asexuality were previously sort of combined due to being just a lack of preference for the gender of sexual partners instead of two separate definitions. I can kind of understand this confusion as I've heard from a lot of ace folks who originally thought they were bisexual due to that a lack of differentiation between feelings for different genders. So it's like, well, hey, I feel this way about all genders, so obviously that means I have some sort of romantic or sexual feelings about these people because it's all the same to me, which not quite, but we're getting there. Now, the 1980s brought the DSM-3's publication, in which hypoactive sexual desire disorder, HSDD, and sexual aversion disorder were included. These were eventually amended in 2013 to include an exception for people self-identifying as ace, as otherwise it was usually classified as a lack or lacking sexual desire or an aversion towards sex that were emotionally distressing to the individual. In 2001, David J. founded the Asexuality Visibility and Education Network, or AVEN. This website is one of the more well-known online hubs for the asexual community, also including a lot of references and valuable information about being asexual. Through Avon, numerous parts of asexual culture were determined, such as the asexual flag and ace ring, in 2010 and 2005, respectively. Also in 2010 was the first instance of Asexuality Awareness Week. This is to celebrate and bring awareness to asexuality. Ace Week usually occurs in the last full week of October. Now let's talk about coming out. Throughout the years, a lot of people have written about and come out as asexual. From Jenny June mentioning that both Sir Isaac Newton and Immanuel Kant may have been asexual within our 1922 article, to David Bowie saying that he has been viewed as ace in a 1974 interview, or even cartoon characters like SpongeBob SquarePants coming out in 2005 thanks to the late Stephen Hillenburg, saying that SpongeBob is asexual, despite a lot of discrepancy on the term's meaning in this way happening, so we're not entirely together on whether SpongeBob is asexual as asexuality or if it is because he is a sponge and reproduces asexually. Both can and could be true, but it's up to debate. And then we have Todd Chavez of BoJack Horseman fame in 2016, who did officially come out as ace and had a pretty good little character arc about it as well. There have been a fair amount of asexuals coming out of the closet over the years, and this has been helped a lot by articles, documentaries, and films about asexuality coming out over the years and aiding in the knowledge of asexuality being more widespread. Now let's do a quick rundown of popular symbols used by the asexual community. Black rings. In 2005, it was decided on the Avon forums that a black ring worn on the middle finger of the right hand would be a sort of in-the-know sign that one is asexual. While a completely black ring is usually agreed upon to be the sign, it has generally been said that any black ring worn on the middle finger of the right hand can be an ace ring, though it may not be as widely or easily recognized as a solid black ring. Asexual flag. The asexual flag is made up of 4 stripes: black, gray, white, and purple. Black represents asexuality, gray is gray asexuality, white is for non-asexuals, and purple is for community. Playing card suits. Although it is less widely recognized, some aces use the suits of playing cards, specifically the ace of each suit, to identify within the asexual umbrella. Usually, ace of spades refers to aromantic aces. Ace of hearts is alloromantic, or non-aromantic asexuals. Ace of clubs is for gray romantic asexuals, and ace of diamonds refers to demi-romantic asexuals. I have seen the ace of spades used as a more generalized symbol of asexuality, and there is some confusion about the aces of diamonds and clubs. The overall idea of asexuals as card suits is not widely known or utilized within or without the asexual community. Cake. A common saying or joke within the ace community is a preference for eating cake instead of having sex, so cake being shorthand for being ace, or just that inside joke of I'd rather have cake, is pretty widespread within the community, and personally, I quite enjoy it. Now that's another quick look at the history of the asexual community over the years. Is it complete or entirely comprehensive? No, and it probably never will be. Just like any history of a group that's active, new events will be happening all the time. This is just a glimpse at some of the important things in the history of this part of the LGBTQIA+ community. So just take it as you will. If you have any other subjects about mental health or LGBTQIA+ topics, let me know down in the comments. As always, my resources are in the description. Thanks for watching the OCD Enby. Stay safe out there.